morning, everybody. Welcome to English class. Today we're going to be talking about how you determine the setting of a piece of fictional writing. So how many of you guys know what I mean when I say setting in fiction? Amanda, can you give me your definition of setting, please?
I'd say it's a time and a place and the background of the story.
Right, so it's the background of the story, and more specifically, where and when it takes place. Absolutely. And this can have a lot of effects on the different characters in the story, and also the mood of the story. For example, if the story takes place in either the past or the future, there's going to be a lot of different expectations for the characters, and it'll also change some of their mannerisms, like how they speak and treat each other. So just as a couple examples of stories that you may know that have settings that have particular influences on the characters, how many of you guys have read Fahrenheit 451? Okay, so all of you have, and that setting has particular impact because it's in the future, right? And who can tell me what's different about the future in Fahrenheit 451, different than the way things are today, that have particular significance in the story? Jackie?
They weren't allowed to read books. They burned books.
They burned books, yeah. Books were against the law, and that had a huge impact on the plot and the characters. Do you guys remember what kind of mood that book sort of took on?
It's kind of creepy.
It's creepy, right? It's always kind of creepy to think about our future, especially when it gets, a little bit weird, like having books against the law, for sure. What about Secret Life of Bees? Have you guys read Secret Life of Bees or seen the movie? Can you guys tell me what's unique about that setting? Anyone who's read it?
It takes place in the past.
Right, Amanda, it takes place in the past, and that kind of leads to the racial tensions that had a lot of impact on all the characters in that book and movie, if you've seen it. So I want you all to take a minute now and write down a fictional story that you've read that has a unique setting, either in the future or the past, so a unique setting with timing or place. So it could take place in an imaginary location or out of the country.
Any book?
It can be any book or short story. And just put your pencils down so I know when you're finished. Okay. Christina, what did you write down?
Twilight.
Twilight, all right. And what's unique about Twilight's setting?
It's based in Washington, so it's rainy and dark there a lot, so that allows the vampires to come out, so it affects the story.
So here it has a direct impact on the characters in the story, right? The fact that Forks is really rainy and cloudy allows the vampires to come out more? Absolutely. All right, Jackie, what about you?
I said The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
What's unique about that setting?
It switches between a real life setting and a fake world. Or, it might not be fake, but Narnia.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's kind of a dynamic of two different settings in that story, and different characters come along with those different settings. Absolutely. Amanda, what was yours?
Harry Potter.
Well, that's a perfect transition because I would like you guys to talk in pairs, and I'll talk to one of you. I'll talk to Christina because it was an odd number, about the setting of Harry Potter and how it impacts the characters and mood. So what did you think of Harry Potter's setting? First, can you tell me where it takes place?
I think it's in the movie, or is it?
Yeah, tell me what
yeah.
happened.
So
Okay,
the
I
setting is kind of fictional, so you have to go on this imaginary train, and it's not obvious to everyone.
Well, I think that the fact is it's looking for
Castle they all learn at
Or
with different
different
professors.
Yeah, so it has those imaginary elements that work in Narnia. Absolutely. And some of the
So
characters
you
in
never
every
do
Twilight.
Yeah, some of them are very unique
Ever
to participated in imaginary.
All right, we're gonna bring it back. I heard you guys quoting a few Stellos over there, so I think we may have touched upon the same topics of an imaginary setting and how that impacted the characters. Okay, so now that we've got a few examples under our belt about different stories that have unique settings, we're gonna talk about clues for when you know that you're being told what the setting of a story is. So when you're reading, what sorts of words jump out at you that'll indicate either the time or the place that the story is occurring? Jackie?
The weather.
What about the weather indicate something about setting? Does it indicate the time that it takes place, or does it help you about where?
Well, I guess it can help the time that it takes place within the year, like the season that it's in, or like the mood. If it's like gloomy out, then the mood might be more gloomy.
Absolutely. So it'll affect the timing because you know what season the story is taking place. And then the mood, you were saying gloomy. What sorts of stories do you think would have a gloomy setting? Maybe with rain or other weather factors.
We talked about Twilight that had a rainy setting.
Great, yeah, so Twilight, absolutely. All right, any other clues that you guys should be looking for timing? I mean, for setting? Yes, Christina?
Certain landmarks.
What do you mean by landmarks?
Geographical features like mountains or certain monuments that are easily recognizable.
Yeah, geographical features, and that'll indicate where the story is taking place, absolutely. Okay, so with those in mind and any others that you may pick up, please take out the short story that you read for homework last night, The Monkey's Paw by W.W. Jacobs, and just scan that first paragraph because I know you've read the story, and circle words that you think are clues for the story's setting. Just take a minute to do that, please. And put your pencils down when you're done, please, so I know you're finished. Okay, so what are some of the words that you guys picked out of that paragraph? Start with you, Amanda.
A night.
Night. So the night, what did that indicate about the setting?
The time which it took place.
All right, so the night told you the timing, and any other factors, any other clues that you guys picked up on? Jackie?
Cold and wet.
Cold and wet, and was that referring, what was that referring
The
to?
night.
Okay, so weather, right?
Oh yeah, it was.
So the night was cold and wet, so it was rainy, and that could indicate the mood of the story, right? Because we know that some pretty horrible things go on to happen in this story, and so maybe in the first paragraph, by taking place at night and rainy out, it can be kind of what we were talking about earlier, where the mood is sort of already set as ominous. Okay, so before you guys leave today, I just want you to take a few minutes to think back on the last fiction story that you've read and talk about how the setting affected the characters and the mood and sort of describe what that setting was and how you knew that that was the setting of the story.